New evidence has just come to light. Another scandal. Donald Trump has been charged with beating 2 women. You want to think about that one for a minute? Not 1, but 2. Little humor. Hey, listen, do you guys and gals like impressions? People who do impressions? I can do a few impressions. Well, I can do Ronald Reagan. Well, anyway, not too good, I know. But I want to do an impression for you. Do you remember, any of you, the character from the old kids show Sesame Street, which has been on the air a long time because I watched it when I was a kid? But do you remember one of the characters they had on Sesame Street called the Count? The Count was a puppet that was like supposed to be like Dracula, I guess. And he talks like this, and he counts like this. 1, 2, I want to do my impression of the Count for you right now with regard to the voting in the state of Arizona. Okay, I got a lot to say about that, so bear with me. Here is my impression of the Count, who is apparently in charge of vote counting in Arizona. Are you ready? 1 for Carrie Lake. 1 for Ruben Gallego. 2 for Ruben Gallego. And on and on and on it goes. Now, I've already posted a video today. Today is Thursday, but I'm making this video on a Thursday afternoon. I'm going to post it. I've already posted one today, so I'm going to wait and post this one tomorrow because it's a little time sensitive because of the topic that I'm talking about, one of the topics I'm talking about, which is this scandal of slow counting these vote totals in this election. You know, I live on a mountain, and when I'm outside talking, I have noticed my voice echoes across the neighborhood. I'm thinking the neighbors on the other properties here probably think I'm, and maybe they're right, I don't know. Now, I have been following the election returns on a site called realclearpolitics.com. I'm a numbers nerd on this kind of stuff, and it's the best site I've found where you can go and get the most up-to-date election results. There may be one better, I don't know, but this is the one I found. It's one I've been consulting regularly since Tuesday evening. If you go to their site, you can get election results for the presidential election, the senators, the governors, the Congress, and other elections as far as I know. But I've been following this particular, well, several, but in particular, the one I'm really concerned with right now is this senatorial election in Arizona. The contenders are Carrie Lake. This is an open seat. The contenders are Republican Carrie Lake and the Democrat Ruben Gallego, whose father was literally a drug cartel lord, and he is his son. This is a razor-tight election, and as of right now, it is 3:40 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon. What is this, November the 8th, I believe it is? I believe it's the 8th. As of 3:40 this afternoon, Arizona has counted 70% of the ballots. Are you with me? From Tuesday night all day Wednesday, and here we are late Thursday afternoon, and they are still at 70% of the ballots. Right now, the real total that we have, Ruben Gallego has 1.2 million plus votes. and Kari Lake has just under 1.2 million votes with 70% of the totals in. You got that? 70%. What is wrong with you people in Arizona? Why can't you get this stuff counted the day of, like most other states are doing? Now, they're not the only state, but they are one of the states who are slow voting this count, and this is a cause for concern. It is also true in the state of Pennsylvania, where we are going to prevail. Dave McCormick is going to win his race, and he is going to unseat the Democratic Senator Bob Casey in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania. But it's taken them until today to finally, I believe they're like at 98% in Philadelphia. I'm sorry, I keep saying that, in Pennsylvania. Although I think Philadelphia has something to do with that. In Nevada, they are at 94%. They're not done. You can go down this list. I won't bore you, but some of these states are just taking an excruciatingly long time to get these vote totals in, which really makes you raise an eyebrow or two, doesn't it? I mean, what's going on? Why does it take so long? Are you using the count to do this? Are you using first graders, Arizona, to count your votes? Why does it take so long? If you have hand-counted ballots, paper ballots, you can't have a staff of 3 or 4 or 5 people to count these things and get this done in a more time-efficient manner? Are you kidding me? You're talking about a little more than 2 million votes, apparently, because they each have around 1.2 million votes. Let's call it 2.5 million votes, maybe 3 million votes, I don't know. Can you not assemble 4 or 5 people to hand count these votes and get it done sooner than this? What is the problem? Does it not just make you think that there's some funny business going on? Lord knows it wouldn't be the first time. This is happening too often, and it is getting a little dicey out there, if you ask me. This happened, as you remember, folks, back in 2020. When I went to bed on election night in 2020, Donald Trump had the election won. Anybody else remember that? He was comfortably ahead, and somehow a couple of these states said, well, you know, everybody just go sack out, go on to bed, and we're going to suspend voting and we'll resume in the morning. What? No, you don't stop counting. Why do you need to stop? And all of a sudden, while we were all sleeping, waiting for Santa Claus to come down the chimney, well, la-di-da, somehow somebody found enough votes to put Biden over the top. Really? Voter fraud, anybody? Now, I think that Kari Lake may prevail in this contest, but I don't know. There's still 30% of the vote outstanding that they have yet to count. It makes you wonder why they're dragging their feet. It makes you wonder why it's taking so long. Could it be that they're trying to repeat 2020 and deprive Kari Lake yet again? They did this to her in the governor's race in 2020. Now it's in the Senate race. Are they looking for something, anything, to tip the scales to Gallego, a liberal Democrat? Let me give you some numbers for your consideration. By the way, before I do that, they did this same trick, as I said, in Arizona in 2020. They also did this in Philadelphia in 2020, and they screwed Dave McCormick back then in 2020, that he came back again. These places are late in reporting their ballots. They did it in Fulton County, Georgia. That's Atlanta. You remember that? Trump had Georgia won, but they started dragging their feet, and all of a sudden they mysteriously, miraculously found all these ballots for Joe Biden. Isn't that interesting? I want you to listen to this real quick here. In the year 2004, George W. Bush received 62 million votes. In the popular vote, he received 62 million votes. In 2008, Obama received 69 million votes. In 2012, when he ran against Romney, Obama received 66 million votes in the presidential race. In 2016, when he prevailed, Donald Trump gained 63 million votes. And in 2020, Joe Biden got 81 million votes. Tuesday night, Donald Trump got 73 million votes when he beat Harris. Am I to believe, are we to believe, that Joe Biden got at least 15 million more votes than Barack Obama? Am I to believe that? Just in a 4-year time span? Obama got 69 million in 08, 66 million in 12. Trump got 63 million in 16, and Biden got 81 million votes in 2020, or so we are told. Election fraud, anybody? I have maintained since 2020 that there was fraud in the 2020 election. If that doesn't speak volumes to my theory, I don't know what does. I have had it with this late reporting. There is no excuse for it. If we had paper ballots that were counted by hand, we could get this done in a more time-efficient manner than is being done in Arizona. Now, whether that is the answer or not, I don't know, but I do know I am in favor of paper ballots. I used a paper ballot when I went and voted on Tuesday. So did Marina. So I know there's a paper record. I mean, they gave us pens, and we put the ink in the circle for the candidates of our choice, and we put the ballots into a machine, and we all knew that night what had happened. So where's the problem, folks? We are just up to our necks in voter fraud. And of course, we've always had voter fraud in America. I get that. I understand that. But to me, it is at epidemic proportions right now in our country. This slow voting. Now, as you may know, we have what's called the SAVE Act that was before Congress, something that Joe Biden would never sign. He would veto it, so it was not enacted. But this morning I was listening to the radio, and the the local host was interviewing Alabama Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville. Now, Tommy Tuberville's a good guy. He's one of the good guys. I'm really impressed with Tommy. I wasn't that crazy about him when he first ran, but here lately, last couple of years, Tommy's been doing a lot of really good things in the Senate. He's a solid conservative. He's common sense. The only thing I got against him is he was the former head football coach at Auburn University, but I'm not going to hold that against him. But Tommy was talking about the SAVE Act, and he was saying to the host, when Trump gets back in office, we're going to have the Senate and we're going to have the House, and we're going to bring the SAVE Act up again. What does the SAVE Act do? That's an acronym. The SAVE Act, one of the things the SAVE Act does is simply this. The SAVE Act requires that anyone who is voting in a federal election must present a photo ID card before they're allowed to vote. Simple as that. You hear the gunfire going off behind me? This is Alabama. My house is actually only a few hundred yards away from a gun range, believe it or not. Alabama. Shoot 'em up, boys. So the SAVE Act requires you to use photo identification, which I had to do Tuesday when I voted, and I thought nothing of it. It's no big deal, right? How many instances are you required to present a photo ID? How many scenarios are there where you are required to prove who you are? This is not a big ask. This is not unfair that we would simply say, okay, you can vote, but first you're going to have to show us your photo identification so that we know you are who you say you are, that you are a citizen and you are qualified and registered to vote in this election. That is not too much to ask, and this is what the SAVE Act does, and I'm confident Trump is going to sign this because, folks, we have got to do something about this. This has got to be fixed once and for all. We have to have election integrity in the United States. We have to have the confidence that our elections are secure. Regardless of the outcome, we've got to know it was fair, it was equitable, and the people who voted were qualified to vote in that particular election. Now, of course, the Democrats come unglued at such notions. And, of course, you've heard them all before. Oh, the Republicans are trying to suppress the vote. And I wish they were trying to suppress the vote. And I could talk a lot about suppressing the vote because, in my opinion, it's too easy to vote. But that's another video for another day. But they're saying the Republicans are trying to suppress the vote, which is a lie. Yet again, another lie. If you're simply asking someone to present a photo ID, that is not suppressing the vote. How hard is it to get a photo ID, for heaven's sakes? Is this racist because we're asking you to have a photo ID? Who can't get a photo ID? If it's not a driver's license, you can go down to Kinko's or FedEx and get a photo ID made for you, Johnny on the spot. It's easy. It's simple. And you have a photo ID. Can I see your photo ID? Sure, it's right here. Good. You're in. Come on in. I know it's you. There's nothing racist about this. As a matter of fact, the Democrats want you to believe that it's racist for us to require photo ID of black people or Hispanic people. Don't you think that that's a little insulting to black people or Hispanic people? Don't you think that they are pandering to these people by insinuating that black people aren't bright enough to go out and get a photo ID? Are you kidding me? Who can't get a photo ID? Who doesn't know how to do that? Who has trouble doing that? It's easy. It's simple. They don't like it because they cheat. They like to cheat. It's as simple as that. They don't want any record. They want anybody to be able to vote. They want to flood the borders with illegal aliens and say, come on in. And while you're here, why don't you vote? And here's who you need to vote for. I can't get on a jet tonight and fly over to France, not that I would, hop off the jet. Oh, monsieur, welcome to France. Vive la France. Get off the jet and pick up a newspaper and find out they just happen to be having elections in France that day. And I could say, oh, I'm visiting France and you're having elections? Well, why don't you let me vote? Oh, yeah, come on in. You can vote. Well, you want my ID? No ID needed. Just come on and vote. How absurd is that? So the SAVE Act needs to be passed and signed by the incoming president, and I'm confident that it will be because it's got to be. We have got to secure our elections. And while we've got the power, we have got to jump on this and take care of this. And we have got to tell states like Arizona, the party's over. We're going to have an election on Tuesday night. We want the results in by midnight. And if you don't think you can do that, then I guess you're going to have to hire some more staff and get them in here under federal supervision so that we know the ballots are all counted and all accounted for. And we get the result in that night. This is ridiculous that we go to bed, we get up the next morning, we still don't know what happened. We go to bed again, get up the next morning, we still don't know what happened. We go to bed, we get up the next morning, and they're at 70%. Give me a break. You could get a classroom of first graders to do it quicker than this. Alabama is supposed to be the dumbest state in the U.S. or Mississippi. I'd like to give Arizona some consideration. At least in Alabama, we know how to do basic arithmetic, and Mississippi and any of the other states that are always at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to education, it seems like. This is embarrassing for Arizona, if you ask me. They should be ashamed of themselves. This has got to be fixed. To the issue of voter fraud, if you go back, just as an example, if you go back to the 1948 senatorial election in Texas, that's when Lyndon Johnson, that's a whole series of videos right there. He was a dirty dog. When Johnson was running for the Senate, there was something called the Box 13 controversy. I'm not going to spend time talking about it, but you can look it up and find out what happened there, where they withheld votes until all his opposition's votes were in, and then all of a sudden, mysteriously, some more votes came in, all for Johnson, handwritten with the same pen, and Johnson was awarded the election. It went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme said, no, let Texas take care of that. This always happens, folks. It's widespread. They delay the vote counting. They did this in Fulton County. They did it in Philadelphia, certain precincts in Philadelphia in the last election. They've done it in Chicago, where the Democrats hold off and find out how things are actually going so that maybe they'll know how many votes they need to find somewhere so that they can win the election. This has got to cease. This fraud has got to end. And the Republicans are in a position now where they can do something about that. And I pray they do. Man, I got so much to talk about because I'm still giddy about the election, and I'll find some more things to talk about. I want to talk about things that Donald Trump has got to do when he comes into office. I want to talk about people he needs to surround himself with, people he needs to avoid. Mike Pompeo. But we'll get to that in the days ahead. Give me your comments down below. I'd love to hear what you've got to say. I'll see you soon.